welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm super excited because I am going to be upgrading my male Syrian hamster Moose's enclosure from a 50-gallon bin cage that I made that I still recommend, but I just think he could use a little bit more space, and I just have been wanting to upgrade his cage for a while, to the large PawHut hamster cage. This cage is a really good price on Amazon and the overall quality is really good. If you guys want a more in-detail review on it, on how it works long term, I'll definitely be making that video down the road. But I did just build this with my dad a couple days ago and I'm moving him into it today. So that's what today's video is all about. His reaction, my reaction to it all set up, and your guys' thoughts on how it looks. You can see it's behind me because I'm actually re-recording my intro right now. But I'm just so excited to show you guys today's video. It is very different, very interesting, and yeah, if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you hit that like button and comment down below and subscribe, and let's get right into today's video. So I had to turn on my overhead lighting, which as a person who loves like little bits of supplemental lighting, that isn't my favorite thing to do. But for now, this is the best way for me to show you guys his enclosure. I'm hoping to get some more fairy lights. As you know, I love fairy lights. But his original fairy lights are still over where his cage used to be, which is where the birds are now. And I'm not going to move the fairy lights. Instead, I'm just going to get some more to put over here so you can see him better in videos and things like that. And so I can see him better when I'm interacting with him. But as you can see, me and my dad also built this wooden platform for his new cage to go on. And I just put his old cage with him in it still on top of this place because this is where he's going to go. This is just two things. Don't mind his water dish. It is two pieces of wood that we put together with one piece of wood on each side, and then there's one on the back so it won't slide around on my dresser. And this is just to give the new cage more support because the cage is going to come out basically to like how far out this is. So as you can see, it will overhang over my dresser, so we had to build this for it to fit on the original dresser, and I had to move my dresser over here. That's my bed right there. And I'll show you real quick where the birds are, which is where Moose used to be, my hamster. So this is where the birds are now. They actually fit perfectly in here, and it's perfect because I think they're much happier tucked away in my room rather than near the door where there's just a lot of commotion and things like that, and this could easily spook them all the time. So I think they're just going to be happier over here overall, and it honestly just fits in my room so much better because this cage is very bulky. And you can see here's all the fairy lights I was talking about. They're still over here, and I'm not going to take them all off the wall because that would be a lot of work. But I will be putting new fairy lights around Moose's enclosure because I love the aesthetic of that. And poor Toast is subject to the birds constantly really close to him. But they're honestly not that bad, and he's already used to it. He's sleeping right now, so yeah. As for the PawHut enclosure, this is where it is. It's on my floor right now. Me and my dad are going to swap the cages around once I empty out his old bin cage, because today is the day where I would usually clean Moose's enclosure. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to clean his old enclosure. I'm going to clean it all out so it's empty, and then me and my dad will move it off the dresser, and I will replace it with his help with the new enclosure that I got, and then I'll be setting that up for him, which is super exciting. He is probably tucked away in his little chamber hide, so I'll work around him and then put him in his travel cage once I find him, and then I'm also probably going to get his weight, but I'm going to time lapse most of this. So this is what the enclosure is looking like. It fit perfectly on this platform we made, and it's looking beautiful as per usual. I already cleaned it, and I'm going to show you guys the modifications I made to it and what I did to it. But first, my dad's going to get me a step stool that's larger than this one because it's really tall up now, high up, and I'm pretty short, so I need like a step ladder more than a step stool, which I'm already on, but like I can hardly reach over. So that's an issue, so we're going to solve that real quick, and I'll show you guys the modifications we made and what you should do to protect your cage so that it lasts from hamster to hamster. So not yet proven, but I'll keep you updated on how all our modifications work out in the end. Alright, so I figured out how to get into it comfortably with a step stool, like a whole ladder thing. But hopefully I'll get used to it. But I'm going to talk about my modifications that I made real quick. So as you might be able to tell, I used Mod Podge to seal all of the wood that is near the base of the cage. The very bottom of the cage is like a laminated wood that you can wipe down when you get it, so that's nice. But I did cover the edges of that, even connecting to the wood. So that's an easy modification you can make so that if they pee on the wood, you can wipe it right off and it won't sink into the wood and ruin your cage for future hamsters or just for that specific hamster. And then another modification me and my dad did was we actually screwed in the pull-out like base. I'll show it to you guys real quick. So it's supposed to be like a pull-out tray here and pull out, but realistically if you give a hamster how much bedding they need, which is around like 10 inches, you can't just pull out a tray to clean it, so you're never really going to use the tray. And the tray provides a lot of escape moments for a hamster looking to escape because it's pretty loose before we screwed it in, and so if you just move it slightly, it leaves a little gap in the back and they could easily squeeze out. So we screwed it in knowing that I'm not going to use it. I also am not using any of the platforms that come with this cage. As you may know, there's like supposed to be 2 platforms. That's what these wooden beams are for. But I didn't see the practicality of having platforms when really that just takes up a ton more of your space. And the point of getting an upgraded cage is to have more space to fill it with your enrichment, not some platforms that get in the way of adding a proper sized wheel, a proper sized etc. Besides that, platforms also provide issues with safety because if a hamster goes onto the top platform and maybe you don't fill up the bedding as much as you should, or even if you have enough bedding and they fall and hit the other platform on the way down, they could easily receive serious neurological health issues and it would just be really bad. And besides that, I just don't like the platform look. I can use my own platforms and just create a much more enriching setup without using them, and it gives me a lot more creativity space wise. So we didn't use those. And then the last few things we did was we also added our own pieces of safe kiln dried pine from Home Depot that is much thicker and better quality than this wood. We added that to the bottom of this enclosure by screwing it in through the back of the enclosure. As you can see here, these screws are for our own DIY wood that we connected to the cage. Not only does this keep your hamster from being able to chew through the thin, this is how thin this bit, not this bit, this is how thin the walls are in between these pieces of wood, including down there next to the tray. And down there next to the tray is where a hamster would be burrowed and possibly chewing out of boredom or just because they like to chew wood, and then they could easily escape through the thin wood. So to help us prevent that from happening, we added our own thick wood that will be easy to replace if need be, and I'll be able to tell if he's chewing on it. So I did that. There's also a lot of people who do tiles with 100% silicone. We were going to do that, but that would add a lot of weight to the cage, and it also is a little difficult with the silicone and the tiles to secure the tiles and make sure that your hamster can't chew on the silicone, because even if it is 100% silicone, it's still silicone and you don't really want them ingesting that. And tiles are also just not going to do that much. I feel like if you add wood like we did, it keeps it from giving them a good ledge to chew on as much. So hopefully this will work for Moose, because he does chew wood sometimes. He's not a crazy chewer, and he's not like a female Syrian with a ton of energy, and he is getting a little bit older. So I hope that he won't chew out of this, but I will be paying lots of attention, and I of course have his bin cage as a backup for emergencies. So let's go ahead and set up this enclosure. I'm super excited. This has been something I've been waiting for days and days and days since I got this enclosure and built it with my dad, so I'm really excited. So let's get right into that part of today's video. everyone, this is crazy. It is a couple hours later and I have finally finished setting up his new enclosure. It looks phenomenal in my opinion. You guys can leave your comments down below on what you think about it. I think it'll look even more like angelic and pretty once I get my fairy lights and I string them up around his cage. But I don't know when that's going to happen. But for now, this is his enclosure. I just finished putting his food and water in, and I will be leaving some reviews on a couple different things that I'm trying. For example, sorry for the glare of the bird's cage and Toast's cage in the background, but I am trying the KT water bottle. It's a 6-ounce one. It's glass. It's really nice so far from what I can see, and I am using industrial Velcro to stick it to wood, so we'll see how well that holds up as well. And then I'm also using some KT hay grass mats on the back to prevent chewing on this bit and just for aesthetical purposes and enrichment, and I think that looks pretty good too. But I'll give you guys a quick little tour. I'm on my little step ladder, which I'm getting more comfortable with using. As you can see, the cage has a built-in feature that holds up the lid on its own, which is really cool and really useful. Anyways, starting on the left side of this enclosure, which is 1,000 square inches, he has his little mushroom hideout. He has a Brazil nut, which is a nut he hasn't tried yet, in a mixed nut pack I got. And it's a pretty interesting shelled nut, but it is hamster safe, and he will be trying to get into this alien looking thing soon, so I'm excited for that. I love these, they're so cool. Like their looks are really cool. He has his new dish he got for Christmas. It's a little heart-shaped dish, and he just has some kale and cucumber in that, and I sliced his cucumber with little cookie cutters. Sorry if I'm shaking. I have been cleaning and doing this cage for way too long, but I'm really excited at the same time. He also has a little boredom breaker. This is a little cheese boredom breaker, and he has a teddy bear gram that's like a dog treat inside by Grandma Lucy, so he can work with that. He has his water dish and his wood ledge. He also has his chamber hide, and he has a tissue box all the way down at the base of his cage. He also has a PVC pipe down on this side, and he also has 10 inches of bedding or more. And he has a mixture of KT Clean and Cozy and Oxbow orchard grass hay. He has 10 inches of bedding. It may not look like it because of the little pull-out thing that I screwed into place so it won't pull out. But that adds, there's bedding all the way down to like here. So he has a lot of bedding. And as you can see, he has a little bendy bridge with a little Gerber puff on it, and it goes to a really nice little Night Angel chamber hide that you can see what they're doing inside of it, which I love. So that's what it looks like on that side of the cage. And then on top of that, he has a nice big, wide, heavy, but like shallow kind of food dish for just his lab blocks and his freeze-dried chicken and a little bit of his seed mix. The rest of his seed mix is scattered with his forage around the enclosure. He has 2 cork tunnels that he loves. This one's new, by the way. And he has a little Twizzler chew that I got during Halloween. Here's his Gerber puff I was talking about to get him to go across the ladder. He has a little orange hideout that he has had for like a while. He loves this thing. He has lots of chews everywhere. His snowman chew, his sand bath with a little pretty big toilet paper tunnel for him to go in. He has oat sprays and milk sprays everywhere, and he also has another boredom breaker here with the other half of the Grandma Lucy dog biscuit and a little piece of a peanut. And then he also has mealworms everywhere. He has his little rock. He also has a walnut. He's just had a walnut, but I don't think he'll be able to get into this because he's not that motivated. So I'm just going to see if he's motivated. So I gave that to him as an experiment since he already has his Brazil nut to also try and get into. And then he also has this chew toy, his Eco Earth dig little thing, and a terracotta pot, which he loves. And he has his new water bottle, his wheel that he's had forever with a platform under it, pillow moss everywhere. And then lastly, he has his Whimsy dog chew. It's this big hedgehog that he's still working on he's been working on it for like the past few months. And he also has his Night Angel tunnel that goes all the way down into the bedding, which he will love. And that is everything in his enclosure, so now it's time to go get him. He is currently in his little travel cage on my bed, so let's go get the ham and put him in his brand new upgrade of an enclosure. I'm so excited.
It's okay if you don't feel the same about it. Been a while since I seen you yesterday. Now that you're away, can't get a break. For goodness sakes, I'm going home. When I'm alone, I can't help thinking missing what we have. Now you're right here, but there's a fear you won't come back. Now I'm busy overthinking about a moment that hasn't passed. Let's raise the red flags high. Seems I have a little bit of trouble trusting people sometimes. Oh, my heart is paralyzed. I think it's time I try to open what's inside, little by little. Oh.